always like, down and out about their haircut.
Bottom line, I'm begging anybody out there, before you go and get surgery, before you walk into these hair clubs to someplace, I'm telling you right now, I am $20,000 in the hole, and 10 years of stress, the last 3, an absolutely horrifying existence of stress and pain. And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt, and deal with them, and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show, 888-659-3727. Joe, I didn't have time to test my sound. Is my sound coming through clearly?
It is. Maybe the volume is a little low. Give me a check.
Is it low now? Check 1, 2, 3. Looks
no, sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Guys, we are live from Los Angeles Tuesday evening. The date is October the 2nd, and this is the Hair Loss Show. So welcome. I am Spencer Kobren. I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss, the man on my right. And, well, besides being the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, I'm also the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. And while I mentioned the titles of the books, I think it's important that you guys understand that these are the most read volumes in the world on the prevention and treatment of hair loss, and the most read volumes in surgical hair restoration, published in 5 languages. And I think that, that a lot of the people in the field forget that aspect of why I'm here and what we do. The guy on my left, or on your left, is the original hair transplant mentor. His name is Joe Tillman, and he's a guy who's been dealing with hair loss, I guess, as long as I have. Well, I mean, he's a little younger than I am, but I started losing my hair at around the age of 21. Joe was in his late teens, early 20s.
It was about the same time then, because I was 17, you were early 20s, so it was right during that same time frame.
Except I was actually suffering, and Joe wasn't suffering until he chose to have a hair transplant.
It was basically chosen for me.
It was chosen for him, yes.
Jack about hair transplants, or hair loss for that matter.
So the reason we have decided to team up on this broadcast, and by the way, this is I'm going on my 21st year of broadcasting this show, starting on WABC radio in New York City back in 1998, right after my first book was published. And we have been everywhere on terrestrial radio from New York to Los Angeles and most markets in between. Then XM satellite radio, channel 152, before they merged with Sirius. And then, that was a real New York thing, Sirius. And then I decided to take the show on the road, so to speak. And I decided, you know what? I think this internet thing is going to work. I want complete control. I don't want to have to worry about local stations selling time around my show, which is what was happening. They couldn't sell time within my broadcast, but they were selling the minute before and the minute after to really questionable product and service providers in this industry, which was brilliant and something I could not stop, but that is exactly what was happening. So I decided to take the show off the air and on to the internet, and I got to tell you, it has been a wild ride since 2009, 2010, when we started doing this thing strictly online.
Kobren went rogue.
We did. And, here's the thing. I just got an opportunity and offer to do radio again. Radio, I hope they're not listening, but, they're having a hard time. And they're kind of circling back, looking at the niche programming that they were able to get numbers from, meaning they were able to get ratings. Now, here in Los Angeles, we had a 2.9 rating on KLSX 97.1 FM, which was the biggest FM talk station, on a Sunday night. What that means is almost 3 out of every 100 radio listeners on a Sunday night were listening to The Bald Show. That is a huge number for a weekend program. And we did a little bit better in New York, and so stations are now kind of circling back. So there's a big 50,000-watt blowtorch station in New York that would like to put the program on the air. I have 2 concerns. One is advertising, of course, and 2 is the fact that I drop the F-bomb every other word now because I've been online for so long. So that could be a problem. Now, they want to do it as a separate broadcast. I'll obviously add a delay here, and they'll have a delay on their end. But wouldn't that be hilarious if, like, every third sentence you hear a delay? It's very possible.
That'd be hilarious, actually. Love it.
So, anyway, let me give out the phone number. 888-659-3727. Had a really interesting day today. A lot of interesting conversations. It's funny. We are working on trying to save this field. And Joe and I have been really working hard over the past few years. I've been doing this, kind of call to arms for the last decade. And sadly, the industry itself was not listening. But we were lucky enough to get our message out to you guys, to the consumer, to the people who are listening to this broadcast, to those who are watching this broadcast. So, we have been lucky enough to be able to help hundreds of thousands, if not millions at this point in the last decade, and forget about the last 2 decades, to avoid the turnkey chop shop hair transplant mills that are popping up. But the problem is we currently only have so much reach. So we are working on really expanding that reach and working with others in the field to get our message out there. Yeah. And there's been a lot of politics, a lot of back and forth, a lot of unfortunate bullshit, as that's just the way it is in this field. And I was speaking to somebody today, and this really struck me because I see that you posted the show in the private Facebook page that is utilized for people in the industry.
Yeah.
Excuse me, frog in my throat again. And I was talking to somebody who has been with my organization for about 16 years, maybe 17 years. Someone who's very vocal in the other organization, very political and very involved, and whatever. And he's obviously part of what we do because he's good at what he does. Mm-hmm. And we were having a conversation, and he was very concerned about my critique of some of the, potential campaigns that are going to be launched to bring attention to the devolution of this field and some other things. And my critique of whatever, using terms like old guard and stuff like that,
Well, hang on. What was he upset with any of my critiques or just yours?
He did not mention you.
Damn it.
Yeah, just mine.
What do I have to do?
But you're part of it, so he probably doesn't like you either. But here's the point. So I asked this guy, I said, look, and we've mentioned this in the show before. I said, look, I know you have a kid, right? I said, let me ask you a question. Forget about your kid being in this field and you being in this field. If your kid was dealing with hair loss, if your son was dealing with hair loss, would you rather them find our resources or the other resources that are out there? And I said, Be genuine. And he could not answer me. Because the reality is, and if finally, and I could be wrong if he's listening, I kind of think that I heard that he agreed with my point. And the reason we do what we do, the reason we've been out here for so long, the reason we've had so much success is because we tell the truth. And the truth is a hard thing to sell. It's a hard thing to make money from, and it's a hard thing to basically commercialize. And, you know, it's very difficult for people to conceptualize what we do and how we do it. So I happened to ask him. He was concerned about the negativity and, you know, kind of the stuff that's being said on the internet and stuff like that, which I find fascinating because all this stuff is being said in a private forum, private group, not for public consumption.
He's saying things being said on the internet, but he's referring to the private group specifically, not realizing it's a private group.
None of them seem to realize that, guys, this is private. This is where the dialogue should happen. This is where the critique should be happening. But that's besides the point. So I said, have you taken a look at it? Have you seen any of my undercover tech segments, my undercover doc segments online, or have you watched any of the shows? And he goes, well, I've actually seen an image of a man in the shadows, but I've never actually watched one. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. How can these guys possibly form an opinion about anything when they don't even take the time to see what we do and what I have been doing for more than 20 fucking years? All of the information, all the stuff that we put out there is what these guys should be sharing in order to save their fucking asses in this field. But they don't even watch it.
No.
So when you put this in the private forum, I'm thinking no one's going to tune in. It's ridiculous.
If they're not paying attention to that, that video that you put up, the image itself is eye-catching, but then the title and the wording around it, it's like, how can anyone in the industry not click on this?
It's the most compelling consumer education that there can possibly be. These are people who have gone undercover in clinics to talk about the reality of what's happening in what these people are calling pirate clinics.
And the problem with what we're saying right now is this is being looked at as critical of an organization or doctors, and they don't understand the fact that this is, I mean, we're expressing how incredulous we are about this, but this shouldn't be an issue. This is common sense. And what Spencer put up, this video we're talking about, if you're in the industry watching this, you need to watch this video because it's an eye-opener about your own industry. Things that you probably don't even know. And if you do know, you should be sharing this video and spreading the word to help support what's going on.
It is everything, the entire message, the entire, what is it? Enchilada. Jesus.
Enchilada. The whole enchilada.
The whole enchilada in several segments. And we have many more in the can. I am interviewing people undercover every week now. And this is something that you guys should embrace and say, holy cow, look at the work these guys are doing. Look at the work Kobren is doing. Why aren't we getting this out to our people? Why aren't we just latching onto this and putting it out there? Well, apparently the reason why is because maybe it has the ball truth attached to it. Or maybe it has the IHRS attached to it. Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? This is my world. This is what we do. Everyone should be working together. There is nothing negative being done. Now, yes, am I providing constructive criticism in a private forum? Absolutely. Do I believe the direction that you're going in right now, it can be extremely harmful to your organization and to the field in general and to those members attached to that organization? Absolutely. Have I been in the crosshairs myself and, survive things that you guys could never survive, 100%. I've been doing this for more than 20 years. I know where all the bodies are buried. And, a very great person, somebody I like very much, basically, he wrote in this forum that, something about, my idea being better than your idea, whatever it is, that is not the point. I wish it was as simple as that. Because if I just felt that our message was better than their message, I would just stay quiet. Because I would let them do their thing, and I wish them the best of luck. What I see, and the crystal ball that I have, is that what they are about to put out there is going to damage themselves, their membership, the field, and potentially thousands of patients. And they can't recognize that. So I would be remiss not to be honest about that. It's not a matter of opinion. Been down this road. We're dealing with criminals here. They have no moral compass. It's like, it's unbelievable to me.
I was reminded about this whole situation we're dealing with because I got an email today from a guy that, wanted my opinion on his options and, wanted to pick my brain. And
I don't mean to interrupt you. What I mean by we're dealing with criminals, I mean, you guys are trying to fight criminals.
Yeah, I was actually going to clarify that.
Yeah, you guys are trying to fight criminals. These are people you're trying to deal with who have no moral compass. Unless you understand how to handle that, as we do, then you are setting yourself up for a world of hurt that you can't even imagine. And it's disturbing that everyone thinks that's some sort of a critique as opposed to, hey, look, I'm trying to play defense for you guys here.
Right. Yeah. I've always wondered. I mean, look, we're dealing with proud people, and no one in particular is just, let's not beat around the bush. I mean, there are egos involved. There's
what?
I know. Damn it. I know it's shocking.
It is shocking.
But there's a sense of, I don't know. Do I even want to say moral superiority? I don't know. But the problem is that they hear these things, and I can see why they may look at this as an attack. But if they actually stopped and thought about it for 3 seconds, then they'd realize, okay, this is actually, okay, they're right. This is a big issue that we're all dealing with. We should listen to these guys because, frankly, what we've been doing, Follicle Fridays, doesn't work. And what I wanted to say is I was reminded about this today, as I am every day, but this particularly rung true with what we're talking about. Got an email from a guy, wanted my help in going through his options, and he had some links to some different doctors that he was considering, and every one of them were plastic surgeons that had a menu of other options that they were providing. And when you go down that menu, you see hair transplantation down near the bottom because it was the last thing they added to their actual menu on their website. You go to that section, and obviously I go straight to the results. One result. Yeah. It was theirs, but one result. And everything else about it were videos of this doctor talking about the superiority of this device that she was using. And in the video, she's standing behind her technician while the technician's doing the work.
I've seen a couple of those.
This is
there's a big one on YouTube
of what's going on.
Yeah, a big one on YouTube, a company here in Los Angeles where the doctor's just standing there like a dope, and the technician who actually runs the clinic who's very knowledgeable, by the way, and actually pretty good at very good at what they do. But they're talking and they're showing the procedure, and they're performing the procedure, and this is being done publicly on YouTube. But look, here's my take. We will continue to do what we do. I'm trying my best to involve this other organization and support them in any way that I can. Again, it would be remiss of me not to provide them with information that I believe is, could potentially save them and keep them from harm. But if they see that as criticism, then there's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that I can do. I'm just going to have to kind of pull back. We have now, like I told you, today we got another 4 guys. I got a guy from the Northeast, 2 guys from Europe, and 1 guy from India applying to the IHRS.
Only 1 from India today.
Only 1 from India today. And I actually noticed that we are still getting plenty of Indians and Turks, but we are getting more Europeans and more people from the U.S. on a daily basis. I was speaking to our senior medical advisor about this today, and I said, we're having this big meeting. I said, you know what, I'll bring my phone and I will just it'll be like, application roulette. And I'll just click on my email and see how many applications we have at that moment for that day. And I said, I guarantee you there'll be at least 1 in my inbox. And he thought that would be interesting and amazing. And,
yeah.
And I'm telling him that, we can just, open up our doors, have the right number of people to get the job done. While I think he wants to see that happen as well. He's definitely, he's a member of this other organization and he's very involved in this other organization, but he also understands reality. And the reality is, if something isn't done quickly, even the best doctors in this field are going to be out of business or they're going to be hurting very, very badly. So I think whoever can get this done, let's get it done.
Wait a minute. Do you think they might be hurt so badly to the point where they might start offering cool sculpting machines?
Yeah.
Along with your hair transplant?
Or how about Botox and champagne?
No. Really?
And everything else that I'm starting to see from some very, very good doctors.
Well, you know what? Hey, plastic surgeons are encroaching on our territory. Why not go into theirs?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. You shouldn't need to.
It's a whole mess. Anyway, 888-659-3727. That is the behind-the-scenes unfortunate politics that we deal with on a daily basis. And I have to say, the conversation I had today was very, not from the guy here in the U.S., but from somebody else. It was extremely disappointing to hear how little this person knew of the work that we've done. It floors me.
All he knew, and I don't know who it is, but I'm going to generalize here. All he knew was the negative stuff that he's hearing from other people.
Well, the negative stuff he's hearing from other people and
that whole Facebook
negative
thing.
stuff that he believes he's reading. And the one word, which I found was fascinating to me, and maybe he's listening, is it was in quotes, the old guard. And this was talking about the fact that there's a new magazine out. It's a new online journal called FUE magazine. And I essentially said that the old guard is having trouble wrapping their head around the concept of having an open source journal. Didn't say anything about the organization, didn't say anything really negative, and then basically said that this is the future of the hair transplant journals or field. Didn't come out quite as articulate as I wrote it, but you know what I mean.
I'd like to let everyone on that's listening or will be listening. We're talking about FUE magazine, and volume 1 issue number 2 has just been released. So you can go to fuemagazine.com to look at the latest issue. You can download the PDF, and it is a fantastic issue because there are so many contributors, including yours truly and Spencer Kobren. We got our own articles in there that we hope that you'll find interesting, but there's also some great articles by some of the biggest professionals in the industry, some study references that were talked about. I've not had a chance to go through it because there's so much, but it's a great issue.
I actually did. I read just about every word, and I can tell you this. Now, there's There's a video that they made to promote it, and I said that this could be or will be one of the most read and most important journals in the field, and I believe that because the editors of this journal are open to listening to those in the field who really kind of had their thumb and their finger on the pulse of what's going on in this field. And they're also open to allowing the consumer to read about everything, to get the inside track and not kind of keep this, like in the shadows or, behind the scenes. It's a great education for any consumer considering hair transplant surgery and for any doctor who wants to get into the field. And I actually believe it will be the most read journal in the field in a very short period of time. If it's not this week, who knows?
That's actually, when you talk about that, I think that's probably what's going to happen. This week or this month, it'll be the most read hair transplant journal out there, period.
I almost spit on my mic. It's because I wrote an article and you wrote an article, probably. And
it probably helps.
And also, well, it's the hype around it as well.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, it's incredibly well done. It's beautiful imaging. It's a really, and it took a lot of work from what I saw.
Yeah.
And this is only the second issue. This is going to evolve into something very big. 888-659-3727. Let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's me, George from Staten Island.
George, what's happening, man? So do you want me to play it open or no?
No, man. Gosh, no.
My name is Joe from Staten Island. My name is, excuse me. My name is.
Would you like to may reiterate it?
My name is.
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is.
Joe from Staten Island.
What's happening, George? How are you, man?
How's it going, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Spencer? Hey, Joe.
Right.
First of all, I like to say I like both of your critiques, your criticism on this issue. You guys obviously know a lot about this shit. It's I don't see that many people on this level, bringing about this issue. And thank you for bringing up the FUEmagazine.com. I'm going to check that out on the computer a little bit when I'm off the phone, when I'm free later on.
You should.
Have you guys? I'm definitely checking it out because I'm actually thinking about getting a hair transplant. I don't know if this is if I'm being vain or what, but I'm tired of looking at myself without hair, and I showed pictures of myself a couple from at work, and you know what I got? Wow, that can't be you. That's you? No, that's not you. Wow, that guy's good looking. That can't be you. And they're being just sarcastic, but the message was clear. It was clear. You don't look right without hair. I've got a few things here. Guys, have you noticed politicians are always on TV? The Republican politicians, how many fucking Republican politicians are bald? None of them. They all have hair.
They have hair. Yeah.
Like hair, like Norwood 1s, Norwood 2s. And the other is, has anyone noticed the correlation between homeless men and full heads of hair? Has anyone?
I don't know if there's an actual correlation, except there's an observation, and there's been many claims made over the years that a lot of these guys are, hardcore alcoholics and their estrogen levels may be through the roof, and but then you'll be dealing with dietary deficiencies and vitamin deficiencies, nutrient deficiencies because of drugs and alcohol. So then why would that equate to having a full head of hair? Who knows? I have no idea. But I can tell you this. I don't know if it's because they're not worried about shit anymore or what. But no, but I don't know. I mean, I've actually seen a few balding homeless guys, and usually, sadly, it's fine. There's a guy. It is true. There's a guy at the 76 station down the block. I go and I fill up my car, or I buy some stuff, and I always see him like smoking cigarettes outside, and there's this kind of like, I don't know, it's like a tent type of umbrella thing outside, and they have a little table, and he's always there. He's like dirty as hell. He's got to be 50 or older, and he's got the head of hair of like, I don't know, who's that guy from Goodfellas, the gray hair?
Oh, with the hairline down to his nose?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember.
Or anyway, I mean, just an incredible, thick, crazy head of hair. It looks like it hasn't been washed in 5 months. So I don't know if there's any real scientific correlation, or if it just happens to be these are the guys that we're seeing, or maybe the bald guys who are homeless, they're staying in their tents. I don't know.
I actually use that as a discussion point when I used to have patients asking me if diet had any sort of play in hair loss, and being in Vancouver, I'd say, well, have you been down to the east side, which at the time of the 2010 Olympics, the World Health Organization labeled it some sort of like the worst violation possible, because there's so many homeless people, and it's like this one area of town is like a giant homeless camp. And when you drive past that area, it's like everyone's got, big full heads of hair. And I would be like, well, have you been down there? Of course, diet doesn't play a role in this. But that's before I realized that it can to some level. But yes, I have noticed that, and I have no idea why. I have no idea what mechanism is involved or not involved, I should say. But I have noticed that. I have used that reference before.
Maybe it's building materials. Maybe it's because they're not living in a structure.
Maybe they're getting enough sunlight.
Yeah, they're not breathing from aldehyde from the sheetrock.
There you go.
I was reading about a doctor. He was because I read a lot about each critiques, and he was saying that gravity may have something to do with male pattern baldness, gravity, and he explained it, but I'm like, no, I don't know about that. That's a far stretch.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about it. And again, we're not doctors, but look, everyone's trying to find some other answer. The reality is we know what causes hair loss in most people, and it's usually a combination of things, and DHT plays a major role in androgenetic alopecia. Now, are there other factors like, consistent inflammation or chronic inflammation, dietary factors, stressors? Absolutely. But we do know there's a large percentage of guys who, if they respond well to finasteride, that they will slow or stop the progression of their hair loss for quite a long time. And some guys will regrow their hair. Now, for those who are not good responders, maybe there's some other factors that are happening, or maybe they're just not good responders. We really don't know. But the bottom line is you're bald and you hate it.
Yeah.
Me and a couple million other people.
Yes.
I was watching this thing where they're talking about how younger guys, it's like, oh, it's so sad to see younger guys lose their hair and all of this stuff, and they kept talking about younger guys. Nobody at no fucking age wants to lose their hair. Okay, what is the cutoff age for a hair transplant?
I actually think, as long as someone is in good health, there are guys in their 70s and even 80s who've had hair transplants.
Really?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's giving me more hope. I've got a substantial amount of hair still on top. I've got like that big M. My temple regions are gone. I also noticed that there have been sides of the temple regions that have gone, but I think it's leveled off. It's been like this for the past 3-4 years. The hair on top is still there. I buzz it, and everyone says, "Oh, but you got a nice shaped head," which I do have a nice shaped head. I was throwing jawline and everything, but it's just not that. It's just that I miss seeing myself with hair. And when I see, by the way, my father came to town. He's from New York too, and and he has more hair on his fucking head than me. And I'm like, that's just not right, you know. But his genes are not my genes, you know. I share some of his genes, but not all his genes. So, but it's just kind of weird, you know. I've seen someone who's 83 or 84, I think he is now, with more hair, a hairline.
Yeah,
you know, a hairline.
That fucking sucks, man.
He's got a crown,
especially if it's your dad, and you are the guy. You know, I have known, and by the way, I hear myself in a loop. I don't know if you have the sound up, but I know a guy whose dad has a full head of hair. He started to lose his hair relatively young, and his dad goofs on him about it. Think about that.
What? Oh, wow.
So that's horrible. But listen, George, we're gonna take some more phone calls. Don't jump into
you guys, man.
You too. Do not jump into having a hair transplant. Really take your time before you decide to have something done. This is real surgery, even though that's not the way that it's promoted. And always remember, surgery is a last resort. If you can live without it, then you're better off.
Right.
All right. Okay, I'm going to take a look at that through magazine.com.
Absolutely, man. Good luck. Take care.
Hey,
good to hear from you, George.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
The phone number is 888-659-3727. Remember, every time we drop a call, that means a line is open, so feel free to call in. That's 888-659-3727. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
It's Maury from South Florida.
Hey, Maury, how are you, man?
Maury, what's up, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you guys doing?
Dude, I'm chilling, man. Things are good.
Can't complain.
Glad to hear it. Yeah, the holidays are finally over.
I got a 225 bench press today.
Dude, that's pretty awesome. I got to get into
Really felt good. Really felt good. I mean, it was. I did like 4 reps, no elbow pain. I was like, all right, I got a little strength. It's coming back. Anyway,
you're freaking badass. Look at you. And you got a nice haircut, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, it looks really good. I was just commenting on the chat. It looks nice and sharp.
Thank you.
So overall, pretty good. Yeah, like I said, the holidays are over.
Wait a second. First you say it's nice, then it's like, overall pretty good. Jesus.
In the grand scheme of things, it's overall pretty good. But it's nice. Don't get me wrong.
No.
Pretty, I mean, it's okay.
For a 53-year-old.
No, it's good, dude. It's always
no,
good,
I'm just fucking around. So
Look a gift horse in the mouth, why don't you?
Go ahead, man. What's up?
Not much, man. Like I said, the holidays are over. It's just so funny, man. I went out on Saturday to a club to go see some live music here in the Fort Lauderdale area, and I don't know, man. I was live streaming myself, and I flipped my camera around, and looked at my face to look at my face and my hair, and I'm just like, I started getting self-conscious about it again. I'm telling you.
It's a kind of thing that it ebbs and flows. You know, I mean, there are guys, and you are one of the lucky ones who you're able to feel comfortable in your own skin most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when all of a sudden you're kind of shocked and you're like, but I am fucking bald. And I'd rather not be. So I understand. But the thing is, you're still winning because most of the time you're feeling pretty good.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy little things. Like in my company, they have this newfangled vending machine where they basically have a rear view camera that catches a picture of you front and back while you're buying something because it's completely unattended.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the honor system. You grab something, you swipe it, you put your card in, whatever. But there's a camera there, and the camera it basically shoots this very low-resolution image at my crown. And I always thought that my crown is pretty full, but then I'm looking and I'm like, whoa. And I don't necessarily know if it was just the way the light was hitting it or anything, but I was just like, oh, no, don't tell me I'm losing that too.
Well, here's the thing. It could be, you realize that lighting really changes a lot of things. Lighting, angles, and also just the aperture, the way the light is hitting, going into the camera. I mean, even in this setup. Right now, you're looking at me, and I have. It looks like I have relatively darkish or brownish hair, but the reality is, for whatever reason, the lights and the camera do not pick up as much gray as I have. In person, I am 50% white, so I'm salt and pepper. That's the way that is. So some people may have a slight thinning of the crown, and they may have a little bit of thinning in that perimeter. And when you're looking in the mirror, you're like, wow, it's pretty good. But for some reason, when the light shines through, it goes through that perimeter that may be a little less dense than the hair around that, and all of a sudden you have this huge bald spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because that I cut my hair. Sorry, it is. I cut my hair very, very short, very closely cropped, only because I don't want the whole bozo clown thing going on. That's kind of the main reason I keep it really short.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys because, like I said before, sometimes I'm feeling really good about the way I look, and sometimes I'm not. The other thing
welcome to the real world, my man.
Yes, I know, man. You guys are my support system. I have to share these moments with you.
No, it's okay. Listen, I hear you. I'm going to start. I'm going to start a 900 line. Instead of an 800 number, this is going to be a 900 number. You guys are going to be charged $4 a minute.
Yeah, to bitch and moan about the fact that we're bald.
Actually, that is brilliant. There's sex lines, all kinds of things. Go ahead.
Oh, God. You guys crack me up, and that's probably the main reason I ended up calling. Listen, so the reason I also called was because the young man who does Hairliciously did something recently about Brotzu lotion. He's saying that they're going to be on the market by the end of the year. Just wanted your comment.
Fucking exciting as hell.
This month.
I am so excited. Now, listen.
Really?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think that it's very possible if it works as advertised that there could be maybe another tool in your arsenal. I'm not that overwhelmingly excited about it. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, I thought I'd mention it only because the kid announced it, and I was just like, oh, wanted your comment.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing about the Brotzu is that even I forgot the guy's name, the old Italian researcher that
Dr. Brotzu.
Dr. Brotzu, yeah. Imagine that. Even the results that he was talking about in the presentation, I forgot which meeting it was earlier this year. It was really not impressive. In fact, some friends of mine that were at this conference were saying that the presentation overall was just really not very good. The information was not solid. It was just a lot of conjecture. But it's enough for someone to grab the rights to it and put it into this product that's coming on the market, and that's fine. If it helps someone, fantastic. But there's a lot of hype, especially on YouTube. OMG, Brotzu coming or whatever. There's like a lot of references to it, and I'm sure all the hair loss forums are losing their minds over it too. But it's really not. I mean, there's nothing that I've seen that indicates it's going to do anything, even as much as what some people get with finasteride or minoxidil. Maybe it will. I don't know. I hope it works great, but so far nothing I've seen is impressive.
Gotcha. And anyway, one last thing I wanted to mention is that Nico had asked me on the chat about using my driver's license picture. I have no problem with doing that. The only thing I will say is that it's early days yet. I mean, I've talked to you guys ad nauseum about the fact that I started on, I think this finasteride was probably May of this year, I believe. And while I have had some regrowth, from what both of you have told me, it's still early days.
Let me ask you a question. Did you actually send Joe your driver's license with your driver's license number on it?
Actually, yes, I did. That's how much I trust Mr. Tillman.
First of all, excuse me, this is the internet. Okay, you're sending your driver's license over the internet. You're the guy that went for the DNA test, right?
Yeah.
You got your ancestry DNA test done.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically handing over your DNA to a private company to do whatever they want with. And then you send Joe your driver's license number. So with that DNA and that driver's license number, we can then get your Social Security number. And what can happen next is there could be a house purchased in your name, credit cards, the whole 9 yards.
How do you know it hasn't happened already?
So I am telling you this as a friend and as a listener. Never do that again. Joe happens to be someone you
want to use your Yiddish cup.
Yes. Exactly.
You know what, guys? You're absolutely right. And I don't know, man. I have to go back and look at the picture that I sent you guys. The thing was, I got so excited when I saw my driver's license picture, I had to share it with you guys, and I just didn't think it's true.
Well, listen. These are the things that I point out to people because this is a really dangerous world, and that's one reason for those who are listening who might be in our Facebook group. That is one reason why I chose to provide my opinion on a campaign from another organization that I believe can be very damaging to that organization. Because I know these things. I know how I know how this ugly world works. It is a toxic, ugly place. And sadly, now it is more dangerous than ever before. So anyway, listen, it's not to make you feel bad. Joe's not going to use your driver's license number. I don't even want to see that picture, Joe. And if you do show it, make sure that you take out his number.
Look, I feel honored that he felt comfortable enough to send this to me, but we're also talking about a guy that's giving his genetic, blueprint to a company that's going to make money from it. So I want you to understand, Morty, that I think that even though that I was looking at your driver's license photo at a cafe and I got up to go get a coffee and I came back and some guy was there taking pictures of my screen with you, it doesn't matter.
I wouldn't even worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Sleep well.
Next thing I know, he's going to say that he did that colonoscopy test. You send in your fecal matter in a box to a company.
Please keep those photos to yourself. Please, God.
All right, listen, dude. Best of luck. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know what? Check out FUE Magazine at FUE. It's at FUEmagazine.com?
Yeah, I already have. I went to the site when you first announced it. It looks pretty cool. I'm going to take a look at the next issue and see what's with that. So it's pretty exciting.
Awesome, man. Enjoy that.
All right, my friend.
All right.
Always great for a
laugh. We'll talk to you next time. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Right. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Listen, I want to announce it, Joe. You're the first to hear this. This is a surprise for you. We will not be doing the Friday program.
Okay. All right.
Just thought I would tell you that. And those guys who are listening, I have an incredibly busy day on Friday. And to rush back to the studio to do the program is going to be very difficult. And
I mean, you won't be doing the show on Friday.
Yeah, well, I would love you to do the show. That would be awesome. Frankly, that's why I'm trying to, to groom you a little bit so I can get the fuck out of here.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Friday's show is with yours truly.
If you can make that happen, then I am all for it. Phone number
I need to figure out to get these. Well, the number will be irrelevant because I don't have access to the phone line, but I'll figure something out.
You know what I'll do? Maybe I can have Suncast hook you up, and you can just take. You can answer questions on the chat.
At the very least, I can do the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yep, absolutely.
Or I could always iPhone in or whatever.
Just one more project for me to deal with this week.
Dude, it's 1 week. Awesome. Listen, I don't think we missed a show in 5 months?
I think longer. This has been. I was actually looking on my channel, and there's how many episodes are there? Straight.
And by the way, guys, and we'll take your calls in a second. Next week. We have a great guy in the chat room, Dr. John Cole. He's actually going to be in studio here in Beverly Hills, California, with me. Hopefully we can get all the equipment to work because it is duct tape and I'm always having to solder stuff and who the hell knows. But right now, I think it's going to work just fine.
Yep.
So we'll have John Cole live in studio. After I actually, I'm going to be at this tribunal at 3 o'clock that afternoon. I'm still wondering if these guys are going to be wearing powdered wigs. That's what I'm hoping for. And who's going to be holding the gavel?
It'll be interesting to see.
Joe, you get this face every time I speak like this. I'm sorry if I make you uncomfortable.
No, that's not. No, okay. That's not uncomfortable. I was actually just looking at something else on screen, but I would love to see if they're going to be wearing wigs.
I actually picture this when I walk into this thing, that it's going to be this conference table with all these people around the table with powdered wigs and robes on.
And dark lights and goats in the room. No, I'm kidding. Come on.
It's a joke. We're joking, guys. Come on, lighten up. Let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, man. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi. Yeah, can you hear me?
No, we can't. Who's this?
Okay. Hi. My name is Julian. I'm calling from Binghamton, New York.
Julian
Hello,
from Binghamton. How's everything, man? Man, it's cold there, man. It's probably not that cold right now, but that's a cold place to live.
No, it's gonna get cold. We have like 6-month winters. Anyway, I'm doing good. I'm calling because first off, like I've been watching your podcast and I thought it's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm 20 years old, and I've had like some pretty slow, mild recession on my temples, and like 4 months ago, I went to a dermatologist in New York City, just like one that I found online, and he prescribed me generic finasteride. He prescribed me the 5 milligram one, and I had like the worst side effects like ever. So
did you take the entire 5 milligram dosage?
No, I took the 2.5 milligram dosage.
So you just cut it up in half.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did he suggest to you? Well, first of all, let's talk about the side effects. I think that's important. What side effects did you experience?
Okay, so I had insomnia, but I had like some really bad testicular pain, which is probably the worst. But it was like insomnia, decreased libido, and the testicular pain.
Check.
So
yeah.
Over the summer, I was obsessing about my hair because I was like, oh shit, I'm 20 years old, I'm in college, I don't want to start losing my hair now. And I felt like the Rogaine was maybe, I didn't really give it enough time, but I thought to myself, I feel like I need a DHT blocker to really attack the problem at the core. So I was thinking, okay, maybe my body cannot tolerate oral finasteride. Let's see if we can find a topical. So I went online and I found Alan Ballman. Okay. And I had an online consultation with him, and I found it super helpful, actually. Like, I thought that the guy he answered a lot of my questions, and I've been using 82F for almost a month now, and I've seen, like, a lot less shedding. And then maybe last week, as per his recommendation, I started taking brand name Propecia, and I've had no side effects on the Propecia. And I was just wondering, do you guys see this a lot where people just get no side effects from Propecia, but like the generics just give them terrible side effects?
I will give you my opinion is that, Joe and I are we're brand whores.
Brand whores, yeah.
Period. We do not make any money from Merck. Merck does not advertise in this program. And the reality is the Merck brand, the brand name of Proscar, is the reason why I'm behind this microphone right now after almost 21 years. So, based on my experience, my personal experience, the experience of people in my life, and also from the tens and thousands, countless of thousands of people who have contacted us over the years, I believe that there is a difference in brand name versus generic. And I also think that, each generic, and I know this, is slightly different as well. While the molecular properties of the drug may be the same that are in the generic, there are different fillers, there are different additives, there are different combinations of additives. And for some people, those combinations with the generic finasteride seem to cause adverse side effects. Or it doesn't work as well in some people as brand name. Now, there are people who do very well on generics, and then they're on one generic for a couple of years, no adverse side effects, and then their drugstore switches their generic on them, and then all of a sudden they start to have side effects or they start to go through a shed. So there is definitely a correlation. There's definitely something happening with that. And I think this is an amazing story, the fact that you had adverse side effects from a generic. Now, to be fair, judging from your story, you were on a higher dosage. You were basically taking twice as much daily of the generic as you were taking the brand name.
I probably should have clarified. I was taking it every other day. I was taking 2.5 milligrams every other day.
Okay.
Still,
yeah.
your initial dosage
still higher.
It's like getting smacked in the face. Your system was
okay.
Yeah. I mean, legitimately, you're only supposed to be taking 1 milligram. I know several people that take 2.5. Hell, I know people that take a full 5 milligram tablet. But
I'm taking one tonight.
I like telling people to ease into it if they have any sort of concerns about side effects. I've got a formula that I've put together for that. But I think that your question of, and just correct me if I'm wrong, you said you asked people on generics getting side effects, but on name brand not getting side effects. Is that common, or have we heard of it? I have in situations like yours where they start with a bigger dosage of a generic, any one of them, and they have some sort of side effect, and then they switch over to a 1 milligram dosage of name brand. It's a very specific scenario that you're talking about, so it's not common that this happens.
Okay.
But it makes sense. So I think that if you had stuck with the generic and maybe cut it into quarters, which is the way I used to take it, 1.25, I think that, and then just kind of ease into that, I think it probably would have been the same outcome as the name brand. Not a doctor, I'm just guessing here based on my experience, but there's a probability of that being the case.
I see. Okay. And then another issue I had is because I'm 20 years old and I do want to keep my hair, and I feel like Propecia is probably the way that I'll maintain my hairline or for the next 10 years. I see this as a long-term treatment, like, again, like 10, maybe 20 years. What are the, like, do you guys have any, like, do you guys know anything about, like, suppressing DHT levels and the consequences of that, maybe 10 to 15 years down the line?
Take off your shirt, Joe. See, I've been on the drug.
I don't want to make anyone jealous.
I've been on the drug for, let's see, how old am I? I'm 53. So that would be...
I've been on it for 16 years.
Almost 25 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 25 years. I have full breasts. No, I have actually, I have not experienced any adverse side effects that I'm aware of, but I always tell people I could be diagnosed with some bizarre, rare form of cancer tomorrow. I would have no idea if it was because of this drug or if it was just bad luck. It's been an incredible, life-changing drug for me, and that's why I decided to write The Bald Truth, and that's why I started this radio program, because it gave me the ability to really step back and look at this industry for what it is, and in most cases it's a sham, and do enough research to provide information to the masses. It changed my life. I was an emotionally crippled young man because I started losing my hair around the age of 21, and this really helped me a lot. So I'm a huge fan. But with that said, it's a drug. It's something that it's in our body. Who knows what it's doing to us? But also, we eat food every day that we don't know if it contains, out of plastic containers, and we're breathing, like I said, formaldehyde from the, from our walls and paint, and we live in what some would consider to be a very toxic environment. Yet somehow we survive.
Okay.
So who knows?
Okay.
Just realize what happens if what would happen. Your hairs are important to you, right? Obviously, you're taking a drug. Drug to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens if you had to take another drug that, say it was for acne? You didn't need to take it, but you took this drug and you no longer suffer from acne, but there was a potential for side effects. Would you still take it?
Probably.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's okay. No, it's just because my parents are very worried about it, and I was like, Mom, Dad, like, relax a little.
Really? I have a picture of my mother one of my favorite pictures of my mother is with me in her stomach. She's got a Manhattan in one hand and a cigarette in the other. And she was worried about all kinds of shit when I was growing up. So my advice is don't listen to your parents about that stuff. You're a grown man. I understand that they love you. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do, and you got to work with your physician. And, you know, really, you know, speak with a professional, not someone who's basing their information on hearsay or just, you know, just being scared. Are you Jewish, by the way?
Kind of. Why?
Well, because I'm Jewish.
Okay.
And the fact that your parents
I have a very Jewish mother.
The fact that you're concerned about this, and you said my parents are concerned about this. Listen, there is no goy, no shiksa that's going to be concerned about this. That's just the way that it is. Jewish moms, forget about it. So
okay,
there you go.
And then my second question was, because I was so nervous and like obsessive about it, I kind of threw the kitchen sink at this problem.
Now, I'm just curious. When I asked if you were Jewish, you stopped as like I somehow asked if you were a murderer.
Kind of.
No, I know. Well, it's just you're pretty perceptive, I guess. Because anyway, so I kind of threw the kitchen sink.
That's why I'm behind this mic, dude. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No worries. So I kind of threw like the kitchen sink at this problem. Like, you know, I'm on minoxidil. I'm on 82F, which is like a pretty unique. Like it's compounded, so I get it from Dr. Bauman. Like I'm on Propecia. Like I was wondering, was that really the best step? Like which was going in with topical finasteride, minoxidil, and oral and Propecia?
Let me ask you something. Is it working?
Are you happy with where you are now and how you've been responding?
Yes.
Then yes, that was the best way.
Okay.
Done.
All right.
And
thank you.
Don't overthink it. You know, just kind of, it's working for you now. Enjoy it. Remember this, and I say this all the time, and I was saying it to a friend online last night. I always preach this. Everything in life is on loan. And right now, you are healthy, you're happy, you are saving, you know, you're doing something proactive to save your hair, you're succeeding with that, and you're not having any adverse side effects. Just enjoy the moment. And try not to think about it too much. That's it.
Okay.
You know what I mean, man?
All right. Well,
I understand. I mean, you had some really, these are great questions, and I think it's important that our listeners hear these questions. So I'm not trying to chastise you. What I'm trying to say is just, you got to just try to relax about it, because believe me, and I'm an erotic dude. I made myself miserable for years. It is not worth it. As an older man now, I look back at the time that I wasted. And it's, you know, you're a young kid, so just enjoy your life.
Great. All right. Well,
all right,
thanks, both of you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks.
You got it.
Thanks for calling.
Take care.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
So people don't know how to react to that type of advice.
No, they don't.
It's like, yeah, I'm okay, but what about my hair?
He's like, I just called in and talking about hair, man.
Yeah, I didn't want life advice. What the fuck is up, Tony Robbins?
Exactly.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. That is 888-659-3727. I know it's late in the UK, but you guys can call our UK number if you are up, which is 0203-3724. I'm trying to do this by memory. 683. Give us a call. And I would love for some of our UK docs to call us once in a while. I really had a very interesting conversation today. And I think what disturbs me the most is that there are so many people that have these preconceived notions that have never even taken the time. I mean, John Cole, Dr. Cole's in the chat room. They've never even taken the time to watch a single broadcast. When I asked about, I said, did you ever see one of my undercover segments? He said, I saw a picture of it on Facebook.
But I couldn't be bothered enough to click.
Yeah, but it didn't seem compelling enough or interesting enough to me to click, even though I have given you enough money to send 2 kids to college over the last 20 years. I mean, what the fuck is going on? Let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
You all right, Joe? You all right, Spence? It's Wiz Solutions from the chat room.
Hey.
Wiz Solutions,
Wiz.
what's happening, my man?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. I'm all right. I thought I'd call you because no one else is. Do you know what I mean? So I thought I'd give you a call. You said about the UK, so here I am.
Well, I appreciate that. We actually do have a couple of calls on the line, but I'm glad that you called. I saw the number coming in, so thank you. And it's interesting because it's coming from a New York City area code, which is kind of cool.
Oh, it's a mobile number, so
yeah.
You know. I listen anyway. I just called up because that last caller as well. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, he's been to a dermatologist. He's been put on 2.5 milligram. Well, he was given 5. I don't even know if he was given 5 or if he chose to come in half himself because he didn't say.
Well, he didn't say. He was probably told to. A lot of derms will prescribe 5 and tell their patients to cut it. Now, I don't know if he told them to cut it in half, or he decided to cut it in half himself, or if he was told to cut it into quarters. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that his initial experience was bad because he may not have had to go through the entire process of having the adverse side effects if he started on the lower dose to begin with.
Yeah. I was thinking exactly the same. I thought, that dermatologist, I don't know, they're not doctors, are they? They haven't got the same qualification as a doctor.
Of course they do. A dermatologist has to be an MD. It's basically a practice of medicine. They're either MDs or DOs. They go through full residencies, medical school, and actually most dermatologists are board certified.
Is that the same for the UK as well? Do you know?
Yeah, dermatologist in the UK is a physician. Now, there may be people in the UK that are estheticians. There may be different terms for people who do dermatological type of procedures that are not necessarily doctors in the UK. That I don't know. But here in the good old U.S., a dermatologist is a doctor. And in the U.K. as well, if they call themselves a dermatologist, they have to be a physician.
Okay. Didn't know that. But listen, I'm calling, like you said, Spencer, I'm calling all listen, there's got to be surgeons, doctors watching this from the UK. And you're right, why aren't they calling up? It'd be good to hear from some of them. So, I'm calling them out. Ring up and speak to Joe, speak to Spencer. I'd personally like to hear what you've got to say because, as we know, the UK, the transplant industry in the UK is crippled. It's riddled with failures and fraud. So it'd be good to hear their opinions. You know what I mean?
It's not great, but you know what? It's that way, sadly, all over the world, man. It's just that there's a lot more focus right now in the UK because there's a lot of things that are happening. But, yeah, I mean, in general... there's some really good doctors in the UK, but there's so few compared to other parts of the world.
Yeah, it seems like there's a smaller concentration of
decent
doctors doing even acceptable work, much less exceptional work. And sadly, it's like Spencer said, that is what's going on all over the world and in every region. Is you have a lot of patients being harmed, and Wiz, you're seeing this in your country simply because of what you do and how you've kind of observed what's going on through YouTube and some of the guys you've been talking to. But it really is all over the place. Like Turkey is just amazing.
It's a global epidemic.
Crazy.
New York, New York, Los Angeles, here in LA, it is nuts what's happening.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. So, the industry in general is going to hell in a handbasket. We are trying our best to salvage it and to just at least inform guys, look, ask the right questions, man. Be fucking careful because it is every gorilla for himself out there, and it's not good. It's not good. There's so much misinformation being spewed all over the internet.
One thing you can do, Wiz, is on your YouTube channel, you can tell your followers during any of your broadcasts or in the comment section to go to FUEmagazine.com, where if they're interested in hair loss related issues, they can read articles from some of the the strongest minds in the industry and some great doctors. You like that, Smith? Yeah?
I got it.
I don't know if you've seen my channel, but it took a different turn at the minute. It was concentrating on the UK hair transplant industry.
Well, for you could read it yourself. Just enjoy it, learn about it.
Yeah. Mate, this is the only channel I watch on YouTube. Apart from what I do, some live broadcasts. It interests me. I take Spencer's side on it, where I know you've had no surgery in that, and that's what I would 100% support that and try and discourage people from even getting any surgery done. I believe there needs to be more psychological work done with people, before they even go into these surgeries.
Dude, absolutely, 100%. I mean, these guys really need to be assessed properly, and that's why I think guys should really be, discouraged when they're younger, especially guys who are under 25. And I know that's a very important time to have hair, but it's a very difficult time to make life decisions. Kids that age are very impulsive in general, and they don't necessarily they're not necessarily equipped to deal with any potential adverse effects of the surgery if they occur.
Yeah, you're right, and mentally as well.
Right.
They're not prepared.
Right, mentally.
I'm covered in tattoos, and I've got them at 18, and I fucking wish I could go back and didn't have them because I hate them. But I make mistakes like that, and I would love for people to find you and to find me, and I talk to them because I can give them my stance on life and how things go, and I'm a strong believer that these clinics, especially in the UK, where the UK kind of prides itself on the health system, right? These clinics in the UK, the well-established ones, they should work with psychologists, and they should offer that service before anyone goes into a transplant, because they're preying on vulnerable people over here, and like you said, everywhere across the world. But when you go to places like Turkey, you kind of accept the fact you ain't going to see anyone psychological. It's your money they want, and that's it.
Well, that is absolutely right, and that would be great. I mean, I would love for most doctors to at least. I mean, there's a lot of doctors, real doctors here in the U.S. who they may have some training in, looking at psychological disorders. Part of that could have been their medical training, so they might be able to assess. And also, the more experienced guys can assess maybe if someone has a body dysmorphic disorder, or potentially they're just like, they're asking questions and they're trying to get the right answer in order to fit into a certain category for themselves so they feel better about going through surgery. When people are asking a specific set of questions, doctors understand in general that they're not good candidates. Now, with that said, even good doctors have to pay the bills, and sometimes they may turn the other cheek because they have their Mercedes payment due, or their kid is going to college, and they're like, well, I mean, he's a candidate. Maybe he's psychologically prepared, maybe he's not, but we'll give it a shot. I always tell doctors that is the biggest mistake you can make. If there's any question, send them home. That's it.
And I think Wiz, you got, it's a great idea to have, for you to, I completely support the idea of doctors sending patients to speak to a professional, psychologist of some sort before they make the decision. Love that idea. The problem is that if, first off, you'd have to have all of them jump on board, because if you get 2 or 3 of even the best doctors out there in the UK saying that, then guess where those patients go? Down the street to their competitors, because they don't want to deal with that shit. The next level is, if you get everyone in the UK, if you make it mandatory, guess what happens? They're all going across the strait to Belgium, or even worse, to Turkey, right? So I get it. I think that would be a phenomenal development across the board, not just for hair restoration surgery, but any sort of elective procedure, period. But unfortunately, it's not something that is doable. I mean, it's just not something that I think patients would, just my opinion, that they would settle for. And on that note, I do know of a few doctors, some I work with, that have actually worked with psychologists to come up with specific questions for their consultation before going into a surgery. to make sure that, at least on paper, with the right questions asked, that they're of sound mind. And even then, I mean, it's kind of difficult to kind of wade through it. But I like your idea. I like the spirit of your idea of making sure that everyone goes through some sort of psyche eval. But unfortunately, it would be next to impossible to make that practical.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that, but I do still think it should be an option, because I think there's some people. Do you find this, Joe? Because I know you've had a lot of surgeries. That no matter if you was told like no, and if you was at the time when you was feeling your lowest for your hair and that, would you like practically a yes man? Would you just say yes, you wanted it done, and there was no talking you out of it at all?
When I had my first my two bad surgeries, I wasn't even there for a hair transplant consultation. I was there with my my best buddy. He was like, "Hey, I need you to go with me. I need some support." It's kind of awkward. I'm like, "All right, sure." So we drove 2.5 hours to a different town to this clinic, and I'm sitting there, and he's talking to my friend. He's like, "Yeah, we can do this, we can do that." And he looks at me and says, "And we can help you too." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you're losing your hair." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "Shit, maybe I am." I mean, I knew I was, but it wasn't that much of an issue for me. My friend was really like, he was losing his shit. He was going mental over this. I was like, it's not the best thing in the world, but what am I going to do? I wasn't really that interested in surgery, but the doctor talked me into it, and I didn't have the mental capacity to say, what the hell is going on here? I didn't think about the possibility that this guy in the white lab coat, this doctor, would purposely tell me something that was not in my best interest.
I
had no idea.
I was in pain, and I had guys, supposedly the best in the world, tell me, one guy say that if you were my own son, I would tell you to try a FUE. As soon as he said try a FUE, I'm like, there is something, I got to get the fuck out of here. And I just had the wherewithal somehow, even at that young, vulnerable age. And listen, I was a young entrepreneur. I had the money to do whatever I wanted to do, cosmetic, and it was expensive back then. It was like $25 a graft. I mean, it was nuts, especially from this guy, Dr. Norman Orenreich. And I could have just said, oh, the doctor said, okay, I'm going to do it. And you know what would have happened? I would have had horns of hair growing out of the temples, out of the corners of my scalp. And I had the wherewithal to say, you know what? There's something fucked up about this industry. There's something wrong here. Now, if Joe had the wherewithal, he wouldn't be on the show right now. So,
pretty much.
In a way, sorry it sucked for you for 10 years, Joe, but I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Hey, Wiz, listen.
Character.
That's right. Wiz, listen, thank you so much for the call. Good luck. We're going to take some more phone calls.
Anytime.
I really appreciate it.
Nice talking to you.
You too. Right, have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Nico. How do?
Nico got through. What's happening, man? How are you?
Who?
Good. Yeah, who? What?
You're talking about interludes after midnight in the chat room? What's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Actually, I thought about you a few weeks ago, Spence, because I don't know if you watched the show The Deuce. You ever see it?
Dude, are you kidding me? It's one of my favorite shows. I grew up on The Deuce. Literally.
Me too, man.
I'm
on the Upper West Side, so I used to always hit Times Square all the time.
Well,
go ahead.
I was not on the Upper West Side. I was in Yorkville, and I would take the train, get off the goddamn train, walk in the dirtiest, craziest, just prostitute, drug addict-ridden streets. And that was my afternoon. And my parents had no effing clue. And they would let us into peep shows. I mean, we were talking about we were kids. We'd sneak into these things.
I know it.
It was wild, man.
Yeah, they'd mentioned Goldstein on one of the episodes a couple weeks back, and I thought of you based on our conversation from a couple weeks back. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you call him? What was his rating for porn?
His rating?
He had a rating it wasn't 3 erections.
Oh, yeah. I forgot, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I like this fuck you section the best. But
yeah, he was the filthiest, most brilliant entrepreneur in the early sex world. I mean, this guy really had that, and he was just a slob, and he had that aspect of the sex industry cornered.
Oh, damn, no doubt.
And he was proud as shit about it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I got to tell you, being in the business that I'm in now, and being in publishing and being in radio, I would say that probably the most honest business, which is, and everyone would be like, are you kidding me? The most honest business is porn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, you get what you pay for. I guess people don't pay for it anymore. You know, it is what it is. And, you know, no one's being deceived. No one's being ripped off. No one's being conned. Yes, I guess, you know, depending on the situation, there are some girls who are being abused, which is horrible. But for those who are willingly and of age to do all that stuff, it really seems like the most honest business. And that's
especially
sad.
now that we have 4K video.
But that's sad because I'm supposed to be in the medical field. That's what's sad. And I'm saying that, anyway, I can go on forever.
I like the anecdote that they use in The Deuce about Goldstein. He didn't try to get some girl to go down on him. He begged to go down on some chick. It was kind of funny. But,
yeah. The Deuce is a great show. Actually, I got some episodes to watch, I think.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Yeah. So what's up?
Believe it or not, I think I only have one question this evening.
All right, let's do it.
Believe it or not. So as for both of you guys, or I know Joe's mentioned a lot, is and it's probably an obvious answer. You talk a lot about how it takes time for hair to behave after a transplant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that based on like how you can style it, that kind of thing, or if it's in this, you know, if you have certain angles that they can be manipulated a little bit easier when styling? Is that generally how you refer to the behavior piece?
Yes, to both.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
great,
I mean,
guess.
You know, you're training your hair in some cases, just like anyone that's never lost their hair would be doing. Train your hair to, you know, kind of flip over one way versus another style. You know, yeah, it's a training issue. It is to some degree. I mean, there's only so much influence you can, or training, I should say, that you can perform on your hair. If they're in really, I'll put it to you like this. Mm-hmm. My hair transplant from 1992, 1993, or my hair transplants, I tried to train it to kind of flip forward a little bit at one point. Couldn't do it, but that's because the grafts were so thick. But they were standing straight up, you know, straight up out of the scalp, saying, "How do you do?" And eventually, the only training I could do with it was to grow it long, and we're talking like I could pull it back and touch the bottom of my crown. That's how long I'm talking about from my hairline. Is to brush it back that way, because the weight of the hair itself allowed it to kind of stay in that position. In fact, before I would even style it, it would poof up. It would actually have volume, and that's one of the saving graces of those procedures that benefit me today. You know, they're all surrounded by proper follicular units, but that old work gives the front that I have now this poof that you see. I'm able to get this this flip going on, and that's pretty much the only good thing that ever came out of that. But training your hair, you can train it to a degree, but if the angles are just really screwed up, it'll help only a little bit.
Okay. And you say it takes about that. That's why you get about that 18-month mark to sort of allow things to thicken up and behave better, right?
Yeah, textural changes, the training that I was talking about, any sort of little micro improvements that are happening up to that point. That's the aggregate point. That's where it all kind of comes together, you know, more or less, to where you've got pretty much the best result you're going to have based on time, number of grafts, you know, every variable that's been thrown at this.
Cool. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about having seen just a couple of different doctors is they've talked. I wish I did more research, and you think you do a few years of research and you're good to go, which is bullshit. Talk to your doctor about their approach because I remember seeing Dr. Bernstein at one point just to get perspective, and he'd said, "Oh, here's how I go about." He talked about how he just puts things in one direction typically, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting compared to the approach that I went with, that I wasn't even aware of that was going to be done on me." So everyone listening, fucking check out a few different people and ask those kind of questions. What's their sort of style approach, I guess, even in their aesthetics?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And ask them directly. Say, listen, I want to know, my concern is, how I'm going to be able to comb my hair. Let's talk about the direction of growth and, how, what your approach is, period. I'm trying to train my hair to shake right now. So I went right over everyone's head. Or maybe not. Maybe it wasn't funny. Anyway.
Well, he wants to do a commercial.
Anyway, dude, my hair hasn't moved since 1987. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
You got a shitload of hairspray.
That's right. That's right. All right, man. Listen, you take care. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, guys.
And
enjoy the Deuce.
All right, take care. You too. I got to catch up on the Deuce. I only watched the first episode this season.
Oh, yeah. David Simon's fucking brilliant.
All right, man.
All right, guys.
All right.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
You will. Thanks.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. There were some unique things about growing up in New York City. The amount of freedom you had as a kid compared to other kids was insane. Traveling, taking the subway. I mean, as soon as your parents went to work until you got home that night, they had no fucking clue where you were.
Yeah.
They had no idea. It was just kiss you goodbye
what it was for me.
And wish you the best of luck. And if you're alive when I get back from work, that's terrific.
You win.
Yeah.
Good luck, kid.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? It's David from New York City.
Hey, David from New York. What's up?
Yeah. So actually, I called about 6 months ago. I was getting a hair transplant by Dr. Doran.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So you told me to call back just to give an update.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you the one that we were saying that maybe it's not the right time? That you maybe take some more time to think?
Say that. Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Me and Spencer were saying that you hung up. We're like, okay, tell Dr.
And you went for it.
Yeah, I did go for it.
Okay.
All right. Well, tell us your experience, man.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. So now it's about 6 months later, and I have to say that so far, from what I see, I'm very happy. Now, I'm saying from what I see because I didn't actually tell anyone besides my brother. No one so far has noticed, so I can't give it 100% accurate. If someone
you
really
want to send me
looks
some
close,
pictures so I can rip it apart? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I will actually. I actually think of doing that when they fully came in, but
look, the fact that you're able to say from what you see at 6 months you were happy, that says a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm super glad to hear this. I don't remember the details though. Can you remind us what the details of your situation were?
Yeah, I'll give a quick refresher. So I was at a Norwood too. For the most part, I was at the same stage of hair loss, if you want to say, since I was about 16. I'm now 23. So I sort of figured it's going to stay about where it was. So I didn't really want to wait too much longer to get something done if I was going to do something. Okay. Then when I spoke to Dr. Doran, he pretty much told me that he could give me an improvement. It wouldn't be perfect. I would probably need a second transplant to get the density I wanted, and that I may have shock loss and everything else. He definitely, gave me. He was very, honest and forthright with what he said he can do.
Now, did I ask you about your family history as well?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I
remember this.
So yeah, that was another reason why I wanted to decide to go forth with it because, like my father, he has the same kind of hairline I had before the transplant, but it was just thinner overall. But it wasn't really, receding in a progressive way.
Right. More
so
diffused.
I figured that, hey, I'm not really balding. I would just, like to fill in the gaps around the corners. So I was like, okay, so I guess it makes sense to go forth with it. But I have to say, so far, the one thing I definitely have not experienced any shock loss. I didn't see any loss to the hair I had. I was actually able to cover up the, the redness from all the where it was transplanted in.
Right.
And
did,
no one
did
ever
you have
noticed
FUE
anything.
or FUT?
I had FUT, and that's another thing about the scar. I have FUT. So one of my younger brothers, who I never told I had the transplant, he's about 16. So I just asked him about a month ago. I said, can you look in the back of my head? I think I may have a scar or something. I think I bumped my head or something.
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you. Can you back up? What was it about 16? What did you just say?
Oh, I was saying I asked one of my brothers, who's 16 years old.
I've got to get someone who signs on the show for Joe.
I'm telling you. I zoned out for like a second, and then I heard 16 and hair transplant. I was like,
his brother. I was just doing 10 things. I was under the table fixing some wires with the camera off me, and this is what he said. He hasn't told anybody. He asked his 16-year-old brother to take a look at the back of his head, and he said, I don't know, I think I have a scar or something back there.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
And go on.
Don't even see it.
So, yeah, I was telling him to look through it. He's like, I don't see anything. So I was like, so then I actually pointed at where I think it was, which is where the incision was, obviously. And he's like, I don't see anything. He kept on saying that. I was like, are you sure?
He didn't say I don't see anything. I just see like some hair and this big, 2-inch wide, slick bald spot in the back of your head, but I don't see a scar.
No,
he didn't say that.
I actually I guess that's I wasn't even sure if there would be a bald spot or not. I didn't even ask about that. I guess I probably should have asked him, do you see a bald spot? I didn't even ask. I just asked.
I'm sure he would have told you.
Dude, if he saw something fucked up back there, he would have told. He's 16. He'd be like, dude, there's something fucked up happening.
He'd tell your friends.
Right.
He'd tell his friends.
Yeah.
He'd tell your ex-girlfriends.
But no, I mean, I actually took my iPhone out and I pointed the light, on the highest brightness to the area where it was. I pulled out my hair. He didn't see any scar there. Now, obviously, I guess he didn't. He probably thought I was talking about something more dramatic. But what I know is that it healed pretty well. Like, I tried taking photos of myself. I can't catch it really. Maybe just a slight area. And yeah, so
at 6 months, if you're able to say that, you've already won. The fact that you're saying that you're seeing results that you like at 6 months and you don't have a visible scar. That's pretty good, man. You should feel very fortunate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But my next question is,
take a look yourself.
Dr. Dorn was very upfront with you and said, you might need a second pass for density. So, so what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I was going to say that's one of the things I agree with, because at this point, it's definitely an improvement and I like the results. But I can see it's not going to get to the point where the rest of my hair is. And he obviously, there isn't enough hair transplanted to get that result. So, actually the second time I went back after 4 months, and at that point I already was actually much better. Well, I knew that, the questions to ask at that point already. The first time I just sort of knew what to look for, what looks good, what doesn't look good. That's when I knew to go to him. I didn't actually know questions like the direction and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, he basically told me that my hair growth was doing very well for 4 months compared to, others, and that I didn't have any shock loss, which I saw myself, and that the scar was basically almost non-visible. And yeah, and actually there's another interesting thing I want to say is that I have a twin brother, identical twin brother. So after I got mine done by Dr. Dorn, he went to get a consultation. And even though our hair was pretty similar, for some reason I have a little bit more. His hairline is a little bit better than mine. I don't know why. His natural hairline. And Dr. Dorn actually told me he wouldn't operate on him. He said because the benefit wouldn't outweigh the surgery of all the potential risks. So
yeah,
well, and that is a very honorable thing that Dr. Dorn did. And the reality is, I mean, that's why you go to a physician who not only knows what they're doing, but has the integrity to say, you know what, you don't make a good candidate. That's rare. That is very, very rare.
How many grafts did you have?
I had 800. So I was planned for 800. I had 836. 36 to be exact at the end.
Okay. And your idea on moving forward is yes or no? You want to move forward and have a second surgery for density?
Yeah. So my plan is that was one of the questions I was going to ask. I'd probably want to go forward with at the soonest, safest time, just because, but why not? Why wait, if it's going well for me so far? Okay. I was actually going to ask
Stop right there. Stop right there. You're 6 months. Your results going to continue to improve. You're going to have potential more density coming through. 836 grafts is a really small procedure, but there's still improvements to come. My advice is to not jump back into it with the idea of, get it done. The first one's turned out great. Let's do a second one. Dr. Cole said it. I say it all the time. Dr. Cole said it in the chat room. The more strips you have, the more surgeries you have, period, not just strips. The more surgeries you have, the higher the probability of something going wrong. It could be something minor. It could be something not so minor. So I highly encourage you to enjoy your results for as long as you can. Do not look at this as, well, it worked great the first time, it'll work great the second, because that's not always how it turns out. You did this once. I'm super happy for you. I knew that you were going to go and have this done, and I was worried not about what Dr. Dorn would do, because he's a fine doctor, but what you would think of it. And because your kind of case, it's one of the most difficult cases out there due to your age. Only due to your age, because you remember what your hairline was when you were 16. It was just a few years ago for you. Older guys, they kind of lose track of it. It's like, I'd just be happy with an improvement. You said you're Norwood 2. Dr. Dorn confirmed you're Norwood 2, and you still went to have surgery. So your expectations are higher than the average guy. So you're happy now. Stay happy by not pushing it. Okay. Eventually, maybe go back. I'm sure Dr. Dorn will do a fine job for you, but just don't be in a rush to have that number 2.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you say that if I were to be in a rush about that, would you say it actually harmed the initial transplant, or just saying it just psychologically wise better to keep it off and make the right decision at the right time?
I'm going to talk about surgeries and hair transplant surgeries in general. When you had your second surgery, it doesn't matter if it's a strip or if it's an FUE procedure. As far as the recipient area is concerned, you got a couple of issues. First off, is it going to be shaved to add density? In other words, the hair that's growing now that was already placed, is that going to be shaved so that the doctor can go in and go in between, or are they going to be left long? And he's going to kind of go in between the best he can. There are doctors that are fine at doing that, and they have a really good success rate with it. But the fact remains, and it cannot be disputed, that the more hair that there is in the way, the more hair there is in the way. Meaning that you can't see as well as if you had shaved it. That's just, the law of light dictates that, right? You can't see if there's something in the way, not as well. But there's also the issue of potential increased scarring. Again, small procedures, not a huge deal, but increased scarring can cause cosmetic issues, like if you get any sort of raising, like a ridging or cobblestoning or pitting, all these little things. If you have another strip, will it heal up as well as the last one? Odds are probably not. The second surgery in a strip, if the first one was about as perfect as it could be, then the second one most likely won't be as perfect. Statistically, and no, I don't have actual statistics, but in my experience, the second one very rarely turns out as good as the first one as far as the donor area goes. You could look at FUE, but then FUE presents its own challenges as well. The message here is that the probability of it being just as good the second time is not as high as the probability of your first result being as good as it is.
Right. Now, if I were to go for the second one, would you recommend I use the same scar for FUT as I did in the first one, or don't try to? Because would that leave the potential? Because if what I have right now, even having 2 scars which are the same visible, which is again almost none, wouldn't be a big deal to me now. But if I had 1 scar which was more visible because I went in it twice, that would be of more concern. So you're saying it makes sense just go to the same scar again?
Well, it does if your characteristics allow for it. There is an argument to be made for going for a second strip scar if you're going to go with strip, but it's a pretty thin argument unless it's a specific situation. I've been with patients where their donor scalps were too tight, Clinic I was working with didn't offer FUE, and the options weren't there at the time. Very few doctors were performing FUE, but yeah, the option was, well, if you want another surgery and we need to correct this, the only way to get hair is to take a second strip. Turned out fine, but still, a second strip, all those caveats I throw in there still exist. Doesn't matter what the situation is. In your situation, the less visible scarring you have, the better. So, I mean, that's the whole reason for this. It's all cosmetic. It's all, you want to achieve the best aesthetic you can achieve. So why put 2 scars on there when you can do 1? One slightly wider scar, in my opinion, is better than 2 scars that are really good, because you never know. You might want to go with a much shorter haircut, and that second scar can fuck things up.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say what you mentioned before, that I asked Dr. Dorn at my post-op, at the 4 months, and he told me he could operate without me shaving the front of my hair. And even if I did have to shave it, by the way, after the first procedure, I was able to cover up the the area with my regular hair without a problem. So that was, I guess, that was easy for me, because I was basically able to go back to work 3-4 days later without anyone knowing anything happened. Anything was done.
Okay, but realistically, I mean, you're a Norwood 2 and you had 836 grafts. If you just grew your hair out longer and flopped it forward into a Caesar cut, how obvious would it be if you didn't shave? Or I'm sorry, if you did shave. Right. You could just cover the. I mean, I understand you don't want anyone to know, but in cases like yours, it's a no-brainer. It's easy. Shave it, Caesar style haircut for a while, you're good. And after a few weeks, the area's healed, you can go down to a shorter haircut, kind of blend things in. It's a non-issue. My advice on people that are looking for or asking about the shaving issue is, I think that if your doctor says, yeah, we'll be shaving the area and so we can get in there and blah blah blah, and you say, well, can you do it without shaving? And he says yes, I'd go with the first option, because that's obviously what he felt more comfortable with. That said, there are doctors that are very comfortable with not shaving the recipient area. In fact, there are some doctors that prefer to not shave the recipient area. That's fine, as long as they have a track record of consistency. If you can go to their gallery and they've got 30 results or however many they got, and you can go to each one and say, did you shave this guy? Nope. Did you shave this guy? Nope. Did you shave this guy? Nope. And you get through that list and he says no to almost all of them, probably a pretty good chance he'll do a good job.
Yeah, it's something interesting. I also want to say that. Yeah, no, absolutely. I just don't, no, I agree 100%.
So when are you getting your second surgery, dude? Because it sounds like you're going in next week.
So when are you booked?
Yeah, no. He wouldn't even operate on me, I think, before about a year or so. I just asked him last time as soon as I can do it. He said, come back in another 4 months and I'll see how much growth. He basically said you'd have to see all the growth first to make sure everything, and then you want to get a good assessment. But I mean, I have to say that he's very on. Look, I'm very happy with my results so far. Obviously, because I knew there's limitations, I wouldn't be a perfect density, so I'm not upset about that. It's an improvement for sure. But other things I was asking him, and these are things I know I'll never do, but I just wanted to get his opinion on it. So I have a patchy beard, which I'm trying to, I was going to ask you actually about minoxidil for the beard, so I'll get there soon. So I asked him about it, a transplant for the beard, because I know it's something that it's done. And he told me straight up that he's pretty sure I would be much more unsatisfied, much better off keeping it the way it is, because it doesn't look like, no matter how talented you are, you just can't really get it to the point where it's going to look like a natural beard and you'll be happy with it.
Dude,
so anything else I brought up,
4 or 5 more years and your body will mature to the point where your beard will be fine.
Yeah. So I would never touch that.
When I was your age. It sucked. I had these little gaps between my mustache and my chin that wouldn't grow hair, and I had patches on either side. And when I was your age, actually 23, and by the time I was about 27, I think, not a problem. Filled in, and it's been getting thicker ever since, actually.
Oh yeah. No, my family genetics in the beard is usually pretty good, so yeah, I imagine it'll get good. It'll come in. But what do you think about minoxidil for the beard? Because I actually just tried doing that for about the past month. I was just every night. I haven't really noticed anything yet, but is that something that could work?
It can, to a small degree. I don't know of a whole lot of guys that do it. In fact, I mean, if you want to talk about growing facial hair, you can try the Lonitin tablets, the oral minoxidil. You got a higher probability of growing hair with that than you do probably with topical.
Oral minoxidil. Yeah, I asked Dr. Dorn about Propecia, and he said it wouldn't work for the beard. So I thought he just said, or even the side effects wouldn't be worth it.
There's actually evidence that that finasteride reduces body hair growth.
Interesting.
How about that?
Yeah, don't want to go down there.
Okay, I'm back.
So there's another thing. Yeah, just another thing interesting I wanted to say. So this is something. My brother went to. He got a consultation by a different plastic surgeon for not cosmetic reasons. It was like a bony growth, whatever it was. And I know that person does like some scar surgery for different things. You know, obviously create scars to get into wherever he needs to get to. So I just happened to ask him, like, what do you think about the the scar on my head? How well do you think it was done? And he said, yeah, it was a great job and all that. But what was interesting was he said, oh, and this was like just a couple months after my surgery by Dr. Dorn. He's like, oh, well, if you ever want to come and get some more hair, I could do it here in the office. I was just I never asked him. I just asked him, like, hey, can you check out the scar to see if it's good? Because my brother's already having a consultation. I'm like, no, just check it out.
Yeah.
Like,
and by the way, I could upsell you some hair because we just got a machine that we ordered a month ago, and we need to pay for it.
And I checked his website, and I found one result about hair transplant. There's no information about hair transplant. I wouldn't trust the guy.
Well, welcome to the new normal of the hair transplant industry. And these.
Did you do an image search on that image to see if it was his or if it was from the manufacturer's website of the device?
No, I didn't. But I was going to assume that maybe not. Because like I don't think he knows the first thing that when it comes to hair transplant. It doesn't. It's not something he does. It's so weird the way he brought that up.
Well, these are the new hair transplant surgeons, and sadly, and we talked about this at the beginning of the show. What is going to happen to this industry in the next few years is one of two things. Either it's going to be completely in the hands of people like that, or we're going to be able to turn the ship around. That's it. But the way that it looks right now, sadly, it looks like the device makers are winning. The hair transplant tourism trade is winning, and consumers are losing. There will be very few doctors left like Dr. Dorn within 5 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a good time to get a hair transplant. That's all I'm saying. Now, our goal is to change things and to turn things around, but everyone has to cooperate in order for that to happen. And so far, that doesn't seem to be the case. But we'll see. We'll see what we can make happen.
All right.
But Dr. Dorn's still
again,
young,
great.
so and he's going to be practicing for a long time, hopefully. So I think you're in good hands.
Yeah, no, I definitely plan on going to him for my second one. When I choose, again, not rushing into it, but when I go ahead with that.
Or in 6 months?
Honestly, I'm going to go back to him in probably about 2 more months. That's 8 months post-op. And if he says I'm great to go at a year's time or a year and a half or whatever it was, or I'm just going to I plan on taking his advice on that, whatever, because from what I've seen from even most doctors, and this is not even just hair transplant doctors, I'm talking about even primary doctors or whatever it is, he's by far the most ethical one I've been to so far.
It's good to hear.
And so I don't know. I guess I just really trust him. So.
Well, I'm glad you're not choosing to go to the plastic surgeon who offered you hair, even though you didn't ask for it.
Yeah. So. No, I'll definitely take your advice, and I'll listen over to this podcast, because I have to. You said some good stuff, which I think I missed now because I was just focused on my next question.
Okay.
But I'll definitely listen to your advice.
All right, man. Listen, good luck. I'm really glad that you had a good experience. And next time you see Dr. Dorn, say hi.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
thank you very much.
Take care.
See you, buddy.
Have a good day.
All right,
good night. Bye.
No more calls. I'm not going to take any more calls.
No.
Let's call it a night. Let's give out the websites. Guys, thank you so much for calling in. And thank you so much for tuning in. For all of the doctors who did not tune in, you missed it. You missed another powerful show. If Dr. Dorn was listening, he would have heard his patient call in.
Yeah.
Maybe Dr. Cole should mention that to Dr. True in our group. maybe this will start to entice people to actually listen to what we're doing because their patients are calling.
I could see it now. In 3 weeks, we'll start getting calls. Hello, my name is John. I am not been told to call on behalf of my doctor, but I am a very satisfied patient of Dr. Beep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it's not like that hasn't happened before.
Yeah, it already has happened.
Guys, the website's thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast. Check out thebaldtruth.com. Also, there are new podcasts up on iTunes. So check out iTunes. Check out The Bald Truth on iTunes. Subscribe. Download the broadcast. Even if you've listened to it already, download it anyway and then get rid of it. The more downloads we have, the better. And even when I'm not putting shows up, it's amazing. People are downloading the old stuff. So I really appreciate everyone who utilizes the on-demand service. It seems like that is the most popular way to listen to The Bald Truth right now, which is great. Also, iHeartRadio app. If you don't have the app, get the app. You can listen to the show on iHeartRadio through the Guys from Queens network and listen in your car or whatever. You can also listen in your car through The Bald Truth. You can listen in your car through Joe Tillman's page, which is youtube.com/hairtransplant mentor. And what I would suggest that you do, if you are listening and not watching, or if you're watching on The Bald Truth or on GFQ, we appreciate that. But go to Joe's YouTube page and subscribe. We want to see that subscriber rate over 10,000 in the next week. The first person, the 10,000th subscriber, gets nothing, but we'll give you a big thank you. So do that, ring the bell, and subscribe to Joe Tillman's YouTube channel, and that's where you're able to view this program and join the chat. I do not have a chat on The Bald Truth. Thank goodness I removed that. So if you want to be part of the live chat, Joe's controlling that. That's his page. That's his thing. You guys can dig on that all you want.
I am the chat master.
You are the chat master. IHRS.org for the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. If you're considering surgical hair restoration, hair transplant surgery, we believe that we created a safe place to start to do your research. The IHRS is evolving. We are expanding. The number of applications it's actually mind-boggling. It's through the roof. Like I told Jill before the program, another 4 applicants today. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, right? You get 4 a day, 6 a day, 3 a day, 5 a day, every day. I mean, it's like these guys think it's like a gold rush, which is great. You know, we really appreciate it. We want more people to apply to the IHRS. But as the industry evolves or devolves, we have to evolve. And that means we need more doctors to support what we're doing. We need more physicians who care about this field, who are doing surgery themselves, who don't want to see these turnkey operators and have to, compete against these chop shops. We want these guys to be involved with what we're doing and to support our message. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be seeing some changes very soon in the IHRS, which I'm excited about, and some of the really good guys in the field are excited about as well. Spoke to my senior medical advisor about that today, and he's like, let's make it happen. So and with that said, there's going to be a lot of different nuanced content on the IHRS. While we do put segments of this broadcast on there, and we haven't put up anything new in a while, I mean, we did something this week. We're going to start adding more transcribed segments and also more educational content than ever before. That's IAHRS.org. Also, the American Hair Loss Association is getting a complete overhaul. That's AmericanHairLoss.org. Joe Tillman's website, that's hairtransplantmentor.com. Joe, talk about your website a little bit.
Hairtransplantmentor.com. What can I say? It's a labor of love, people. The original version of that actually came out in 2002 2 when I first started blogging about my very first repair procedure with Dr. Wong. And 16 years later and 5 versions later, I think this is version 5.0. Yeah. It is what it is. The largest, most comprehensive glossary about hair loss and hair restoration terms on the net, on the interwebs. Pretty proud of that one. I haven't put a lot of blogging up. I haven't done a lot of blogging lately, but I've got a lot of blog posts over the years that I've built up on there. Great articles, I think, can really help people with their research. It's now meant to complement this YouTube channel, in particular, the hair transplant education playlist. But I also got some doctors I work with that are all IAHRS members. That is a bare minimum for me to work with any doctor, any clinic. The IAHRS is a great, safe place to start, and that's where I start if anyone comes looking to work with me. I look to see if they're a member. If they're not, sorry, can't do it. That's hairtransplantmentor.com. We've also got a couple of forums that we'd like to give a shout out to. First one is bellicapelli.forumfree.it. Yes, it sounds Italian because it's Italian. It is the Italian-based hair loss and hair restoration forum. We love those guys, particularly the main admin of that website. He is a repair patient just like me and a lot of you out there, and we like him because he's not a psychopath. It's amazing that is even part of my description about this guy, but if you knew this industry, you'd know that that's a rarity. So we love working with this guy. We are ecstatic that he is supporting our message, allowing us to stream through his website. That is bellicapelli.forumfree.it. Then we've also got hairlossexperiences.com, primarily a UK-based and focused forum, but being the interwebs, we've all got access to it, and it's showing because the membership is growing, the views are growing, and it's a great resource. Also not a psychopath, easy to work with, and supports our message and allows us to stream through hairlossexperiences.com. Check them out.
I was ready to retire today after the conversation that I had with this doctor, by the way. I was just ready to say, you know what? You guys have at it. Good fucking luck.
Just watch everything crumble.
But you know what? I'm here to stay, baby. Fuck it. I'm still young.
Right on.
And we got a lot of great things ahead of us. But hearing someone who's been a part of what we do for 16 years basically say, I don't think he's ever watched a fucking show. I could not.
We'll find out tomorrow.
I could not believe the issues that this person had about what was being said and done, and also the fact that these guys aren't aware that whatever criticisms that are happening are being done in a private atmosphere.
You know what's hilarious about the situation? So here we are in an industry that for many years was on this upward trend of quality and upward trend of more happy patients.
You're welcome, guys, by the way.
And improvements overall. That was it was great. And then it peaked because of these, all these things going on that we've been talking about, and starts to just dive bomb under the ground. And this guy's concern was, you said bad stuff about me.
Not even about him. I used the term
or about us.
Old guard without even mentioning the organization or anything. And that was somehow offensive, and one word that was used was embarrassing. And I just wanted to throw up my arms and say, and I'm not even going to say this on the air, but and you're not embarrassed about such and such?
Yeah.
I mean, I am in the fucking Twilight Zone. The politics are insane. So, there's going to be a lot of changes to the IHRS. And I want to thank FUE Europe, Dr. John Cole, Dr. Chris Basanga, and all of the other crew over at FUE Europe who are embracing our message, who understand the importance of what we do, who understand the value of working collaboratively, as opposed to every fucking gorilla for themselves, which is what this industry has always been about, us or them. And, you know, all the bullshit that you read online, guys, and this is for you doctors out there, saying, all the kumbaya, we should work together. Sadly, you guys only want to work together if it is under your strict control. And that control, sadly, is why you're losing control.
Yep.
A true collaboration are when two entities come together, have their autonomy, and they bring their strengths, different strengths, to the table. They combine those strengths for the same cause in a collective effort to effect change. How is that concept unreasonable? Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, you know, down and out about their haircuts.
Sure.
I lost my hair when I was 16 to 17 years old.
That's heavy.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, man. And you know, the funny thing is that I've learned to overcome it. And I've had a much, like,